Turns this on. This on? Hello. Good morning. Hi. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Jamie Nabika. I'm the Executive Director for the Ontario Green Party. And welcome to our 2025 platform launch. I am not up here long because you're not here to hear me. I'm so excited to welcome to the stage our deputy leaders, Aislinn, Clancy, and Matt Richter.
Thank you so much. I'm Aislinn Clancy. I'm co-deputy leader of the Green Party Ontario, and I'm incumbent MPP for Kitchener Centre. Since Doug Ford took office 7 years ago, life has gotten so much harder for the people of Ontario. We see so many people struggling just to afford a roof and food. Detached home starts are actually at the lowest they've been since 1955, and rents have never been higher. Last year, 1 million people got help from a local food bank, and we hear the alarm bells from those not-for-profits that they can't keep up. On top of all that, our healthcare system is in shambles, and our education system is overcrowded. Meanwhile, Doug Ford is doing more for big corporate grocers, oil and gas corporations, billionaires, and massive housing developers than he does for the working people of Ontario. When I knock on doors, I hear a lot about the affordability crisis. I hear from seniors who are living on a fixed income, struggling to pay increasing property taxes and double-digit increases in their groceries. They're wondering if they can afford to have dignity in their golden years. I hear from families who are worried that somebody's going to have to quit their job because they don't have childcare when they need it, despite being on wait lists for a very long time. It's time that this government listen to people, and that people vote for someone who listens to them and goes to bat for their community, and above all, fights for fairness. I'd like to pass, thank you. Yeah. I'm going to pass it off to my co-deputy leader and the candidate for Parry Sound Muskoka, Matt Richter.
Thank you, Aislinn, and my name is Matt Richter, Parry Sound Muskoka Green Party candidate and co-deputy leader of the Ontario Green Party. You know, rural ridings like ours across Ontario are telling us that there is frustration, profound frustration among the people. And that frustration starts in healthcare. We have emergency room closures. We have a shortage of doctors and primary caregivers. We have unprecedented levels of stress and burnout among our nurses, personal support workers, and frontline healthcare workers. And that stress permeates over into the education sector too. And I see that firsthand, whether it be overcrowded classrooms or teachers, educational workers, educational assistants feeling burnout and stress while they try and teach in overcrowded classrooms with a backlog of school repairs that are so desperately needed. This is unacceptable, and these issues need answers. So the frustration continues when we see the current Ford government prioritizing unnecessary and irresponsible expenditures like a spa at Ontario Place, or this, thank you, yeah, like please share that frustration that we have. The tunnel under the 401, which could have that money projected back to such more meaningful priorities. We need a promise. We need a plan. And that plan is going to be delivered by the Ontario Green Party. And who better to share what that plan is other than, of course, the leader of the Ontario Green Party, Mike Schreiner.
Wow, what an amazing leadership team the Ontario Greens have. And I just want to welcome all the fantastic candidates we have here today in running in ridings across this province. The Ontario Greens platform is fighting for a fair future for all of us. Our plan addresses the fairness that we need to build affordable homes and protect renters, to bring fairness back to our healthcare and education systems, to protect the prime farmland that feeds us, and lower your energy bills and reduce climate pollution. How are we going to do that? We're going to bring generational fairness back to the housing market, so a whole generation of young people know that they can find a home that they can afford, and that seniors can downsize into a home they can afford in the community they know and love. And we will do that with a commitment to build 2 million homes over the next decade. Using a range of housing types to improve the choices that home buyers have by legalizing multiplexes across the province and 6 to 11-story mid-rises in large urban centers. We will bring fairness back to housing by removing the fees and taxes on starter homes under 2,000 square feet built within existing urban boundaries, saving first-time home buyers up to $150,000 on the cost of a home. We will pass Aislinn Clancy's bill to protect renters. And we will address the deep unfairness in this province that over 81,000 people are experiencing homelessness by having government get back into building affordable and deeply affordable nonprofit co-op and supportive housing with a commitment to build 310,000 affordable homes in this province, including 60,000 permanent supportive homes with wraparound mental health and addiction supports. Cost of living crisis is hitting people hard. And one of the ways that we can address that is by restoring fairness to our tax system in Ontario. Our plan will cut taxes for individuals earning under $65,000 a year and households earning under $100,000 a year, saving them up to $1,700 a year, and asking the wealthiest in our province to pay a bit more to make fairness in Ontario work for people. We will end legislative poverty in this province by doubling Ontario Works and Ontario disability support payments. We will end Doug Ford's subsidies for big oil and gas companies. And we will reduce your energy bills by bringing in a free heat pump program for households earning under $100,000, like New Brunswick and PEI have, saving people up to 13% on their heating and cooling bills. Now we know that we have to protect the people and places we love in the province of Ontario. We have to restore fairness for rural communities and farmers. And we will do that by introducing our Grow Ontario plan, with a key component of that, creating a food belt that will permanently protect prime farmland in the province of Ontario. At a time when we're seeing threats from south of the border, it is so important to secure our food security and protect our $50 billion food and farming economy. We will cancel Highway 413 and protect the Greenbelt. And we will reverse Doug Ford's systematic canceling of the environmental protections in this province, the EAs, the conservation authorities, all the rules and regulations designed to protect us from unsafe weather events fueled by the climate crisis. We will restore fairness to our education and healthcare systems, starting by a plan to recruit 3,500 family doctors and have them operating part of family health teams with nurse practitioners and other healthcare providers operating at their full scope of practice, so everyone in Ontario has access to primary health care in this province. We will put an end to hallway health care and the unprecedented number of emergency departments being closed, especially in rural communities, by increasing funding for hospitals, especially in rural communities, and removing or cutting in half the local cost share required for rural municipalities to fund new hospital construction. Our students and educators deserve fairness in our school system. And that's why we will reverse Doug Ford's $1,500 per pupil funding cut to education in the province of Ontario. Let's be clear. Things have gotten much harder over the last 7 years with Doug Ford as premier. Housing unaffordable, a healthcare system on the verge of collapse, students being forced to learn in overcrowded classrooms with increasing levels of violence, an unprecedented attack on our farmland, our wetlands, and the green spaces that so many of us love to spend time with our families and that protect us from unsafe weather events. It doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to be like this. We can have a fair Ontario. And that's exactly why Greens across this province in every single riding are fighting to be your local champion, to be your advocate at Queen's Park. Not Mike Schreiner's voice in your riding, not Doug Ford's voice in your riding. You are there to represent the people of your riding and to be their advocate at Queen's Park. And Greens across this province will fight for fairness and will fight to make the investments we need to build a better, more fair Ontario. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for being a part of our plan for fairness. And I'm happy to answer any questions that folks might have.
Okay, so reporters are welcome to line up at the mic and ask whatever questions you want.
Hi, Mike. Jack Allen from the Trillium.
Hey, Jack.
I remember when it was just you at Queen's Park. Obviously, last election you added Aislinn. What's the best case scenario for you this time around?
Well, you know, as the only party that's doubled our caucus since the last election, we're pretty excited. I mean, first of all, I just want to say something, Jack, to everyone. I don't even know why we're having an election right now. For the premier to play politics with tariffs instead of bringing people together so we show strength through unity to protect Canadian workers, Canadian jobs, and Canadian businesses. Instead, we're in a partisan election so Doug Ford can protect his job and get out ahead of the $8.3 billion Greenbelt scandal RCMP investigation. That being said, the Ontario Greens are incredibly excited about the fact that we have a full slate of candidates running in every riding in this province who will be local champions for their communities. And I have said to Aislinn Clancy and Matt Richter, who will be the next MPP for Parry Sound Muskoka, that I'm not their boss. The members of their riding are their boss. That's who they work for. Greens put people before politics. We're very excited about the opportunity we have to have Matt crossed the finish line this time. He was so close last time. And we're also excited about opportunities like Bronwyn Wilton and Wellington Halton Hills, local councillor running in a seat without an incumbent. Joe Lougheed in Bruce Grey Owen Sound, local councillor running for a seat without an incumbent. You know, Sandy Brown, former mayor of Orangeville, running in Dufferin-Caledon, a riding we've historically done well in. We have a huge opportunity to significantly increase the size of the Green Caucus at Queen's Park. People tell us we punch well above our weight. Imagine how much more we're going to be able to accomplish with even more Green MPPs after February 27th.
Reading through your platform, I believe you're the only leader that's pledged to reopen supervised consumption sites. What does that tell you?
It tells us that we have a crisis of caring in Ontario, and the Ontario Greens care about saving people's lives. Full stop. We're a party that's always been about following the evidence and best practices, and that's exactly what our platform is based on. And when it comes to people's lives, we're going to stand up and fight for fairness and fight for people in this province. You know, the fact that in my riding in Guelph, they've allocated an additional $500,000 for emergency EMS ambulance service because they know more people are going to need to be taken to the emergency department because of the closure of the CTS site. So imagine that in communities across the province. It's not right, and I think the people of Ontario are better than what Doug Ford is proposing.
Hi, Mike. Émilie Goujon-Pelletier with Le Droit. If you don't become premier and your party doesn't get into government, how do you plan to work in the opposition to ensure that those policies you're announcing today, come into effect?
Yeah, well, I don't want to speak for all the media here, but oftentimes people say the Ontario Greens punch well above our weight, that Aislinn Clancy and I have an outsized influence at Queen's Park, and we're going to continue to do that. And I think what separates Greens from other parties is our commitment to working across party lines to put people before politics. And, I've said over and over again, I'm happy to work with the Liberals, the NDP. I'll work with the Ford government when it means delivering things that the people of Ontario need. And that's exactly what we need in politics. MPPs who are going to put people before politics, people before their leader, and that's how we will continue to operate at Queen's Park.
My next question was for Matt, actually. The situation in your riding during the last election and this time is pretty interesting. A fight between Greens and PCs. What are you going to change, or what are you going to do differently this time to ensure a victory?
In fact, and thanks for recognizing the support we have in Parry Sound Muskoka for the Green Party. We're going to keep building on the momentum, and if there's something we're going to improve upon, it's just getting to those more rural areas of the rural areas to ensure everybody's getting the true facts, and the spin and the deliberate misinformation that might have been projected from the PCs in the last election is pushed back against, and everybody has fair share of what the information is and what our true policies are to make Parry Sound Muskoka that much better, and it's going to allow us to finish what we started.
Hi, Elaine Harrison, CBC News. Like you said, you guys are known for punching above your weight, and I believe you're the first party to release a fully costed platform this election. And I'm curious if you think it's fair to voters for Doug Ford to say that the budget is the PC's platform.
Well, the last I checked, the budget was released a year ago, or almost a year ago. I think Ontarians deserve better than that. They deserve a government that's going to be honest with them. I don't think the Ford PCs have ever released a costed platform in any of the elections that Doug Ford has contested. And I don't think that's fair to the people of Ontario. I think given the threats we see to democracy south of the border and around the world, we need a politics that's rooted in putting people first, that is rooted in honesty and integrity, and that's exactly what the Greens bring to the table.
And then looking forward to the Northern debate that we have coming up, I'm curious, what do you see as the biggest issue for the North in this election?
Yeah, you know, the biggest issue in the North is what I hear when I'm knocking on doors in Southern Ontario or Northern Ontario. It's the affordability crisis driven by the housing crisis. I mean, affordability challenges are even greater oftentimes in northern and rural communities than in Southern Ontario. And so I've met with a number of businesses in the North, for example, who are having trouble hiring workers because their workers have no place to live. And that's because Doug Ford has failed to address the housing crisis. Housing starts are at historic lows in Ontario and are lower than every other province in the country. And housing prices are at historic highs and some of the highest anywhere in the world. If we don't solve this crisis, then we're going to continue to lose people who move out of Ontario. That's going to do damage to Ontario's economy, including in the North. And that's exactly why the Ontario Greens are proud that so many housing advocates have said that we have the best housing plan of any political party in the country. And we're going to deliver that for people in the North, the South, the East, and the West.
Hi, Jordan with the Canadian Press. We're nearly halfway through the campaign. You're the first party that's released a platform. What does that say about the state of the race as we see it?
Yeah, I would just say it shows you that the Ontario Greens are ready to elect more Green MPPs. I mean, I just look at the candidates that are here today. So many local champions who are ready to put people before politics, ready to be the voice and the advocate for people in their riding. And we have an amazing team, and sometimes, you know, there are people behind the scenes here who have done a ton of work to get us to this point where we are the first party to release a fully costed platform, because we want to be honest and transparent with the people of this province, because that's the kind of government they deserve.
The party had one of its best showings, at least in the popular vote, back in the 2007 election.
That's right.
And that election, at least for the Greens, was very much premised on the idea of unifying the public school system. It got lots of headlines. It generated lots of interest. This election, what is the issue that you think the Greens can stand on that would distinguish yourselves, especially to voters who might also be considering Liberals and NDP?
If you want to solve the housing crisis, vote Green. You know, all too often, the Liberals only talk about market solutions to the housing crisis, and the NDP only talks about non-market government solutions to the housing crisis. I want to be clear with people. We need both. That's why we've created the market incentives we need to build 2 million homes in this province. And it is also why we made a funding commitment to build 310,000 affordable and deeply affordable government-assisted nonprofit co-op and permanent supportive homes with wraparound mental health and addiction supports. We have to house people. Like, we can't continue to live in a province where 81,000 people are experiencing homelessness right now, where no city in the entire province, a full-time minimum wage worker, can afford average monthly rent. We can't continue to live in a province without generational fairness, where a whole generation of young people, including my 25-year-old daughter, are wondering if they'll ever be able to own a home in this province. We have to fix this. Ontario Greens will fix it. We have the plan to do it, and we're going to continue to work hard to bring fairness back to the housing market in Ontario.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Don't give up hope. Doug Ford has abandoned the people of Ontario, but the Ontario Greens are ready. And we're going to fight for fairness in this election, and I want to thank you all for being here today.